Well, a new week, and it is officially FM24 release day, but we are already well in to our two long-term stories. We are back today with Southend United, and we are starting season 3. And in this one club story, is the return to the EFL. It's time for a big transfer special. Yes, hello, and welcome along to part 16 of Saving Southend with me, Daniel. We are back today for our EFL transfer special and our debut in EFL on our return with Southend United. We've taken this club on a first step back, basically as planned in 2 seasons. We got them secure in the first year with the points deduction and transfer embargo, stabilised with a takeover, and last year, while we perhaps expected to do it in the playoffs, we did get promoted just in the end on the final day of the season as champions. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we compete in the EFL, we'll have a roundup of all the big events of the summer, meet a few new faces as I've not gone crazy, but I feel I have improved the squad. We'll see if they help us when we face Swindon Town. Then please do put a thumbs up on the video. For those of you that have been following for a long time, you'll know how this is going to work. We're going to gradually bed in new signings. We've not gone crazy. We've not spent all the budget. We've looked after the club. Because for me, managing a club realistically on the pitch and being sustainable off it are two things that are basically non-negotiables in these saves. So that's what the plan is this summer. That's what the plan is for this season. But we have got a bit of unwanted pressure as a result. We're going to get through all the transfers and play this first game in a minute. But to start this summer transfer special, I've got to go and take you back to the end of last season because we saw obviously our transfer budgets at the end of the last episode. They were pretty impressive, pretty surprising, and we were by no means planning to use all of it. But then we had all of the end of season updates and a bit of pressure that came from that. So let's go back briefly and see some of the messages I got in the spring. So you were with me as we got our budgets, which remarkably was a 7-figure transfer one that we weren't going to spend. But we did have a slight increase in the supporter profile update as well, and we should, well, get a few more season ticket holders next year, especially being our return to the EFL. But this is the one that was really interesting. The club visions and expectations highlighted that we needed to record a top half League 2 finish. So it is no easy return to the next tier. We are going to be expected to do well. We've got 1 year on a contract, so we've basically got to meet the expectation. And then the following year, we have got to compete for the playoffs as well. So basically, this board are now looking at 3 years to get out of League 2, but we should be competing every season for at least the playoffs. And a top half League 2 finish means you're not going to be far off those playoff spots. So that's going to be a quite difficult thing to achieve. But overall, I can completely understand it. We've got the fan base, we've got the sponsorship, we've got the facilities. But have we got the squad? Well, let's get back to the new season and see what I've patched together, because it's not been without problem this summer. We're back to the here and now at the start of the season, and it has been a busy summer in the transfer window, which was partly expected, but despite that, we've not gone incredibly heavy on first team signings, and if you look at the team and the squad that we're going to put out today, it's got a big resemblance to our National League team, which, to be fair, did amass over 100 points and looked a very good side. The big news, I guess, is that Chesterfield didn't come up with us. They lost in the playoff final after extra time, and in fact, it was to 7th place Ebbsfleet United, who come up now to League 2 as well. They've got a good side, they've got some big money earners in there, and it could be a little bit of a problem for us. But we're not going to worry about that for now. One of my concerns has been the standard of player moving elsewhere in League 2, because there's a lot of good ones about. But we're going to focus on ourselves and keeping both a little mix of the cohesion we had last year and trying to add a few bits of quality where we need it. So let's go and look at the transfers. There are a few potentially still happening and that I'm sitting on. One, because I need one more centre half for when we're playing the back three away from home, but it may end up with the players that have rejected us, particularly from our parent club Southampton, that I end up perhaps just recalling one of our loan players. We've also got a potential deal for a midfielder on loan. Jack Earin showing signs of discontent and he's got a release clause. He is declining a bit. So if we can do that swap deal in midfield, I probably will. And then we've got 2 signings here that I'm waiting on because there's one other player I like to sign whose wage demands are dropping quite quickly. And if we can get him in, it will be the final bit of the jigsaw. If not, then one of Randall or Vigor will come in. Probably Randall, in all honesty. But let's get ahead to the deals that have happened already, and we'll start with the release players because there are a few, as a result of promotion, that won't make the step up, and we have to say goodbye to them because they were all a big part of this success. Well, here we are then, and there are probably a few little surprises on this list, if I'm being honest with you. Some of them wanted bigger wages to play a lesser role in the squad, some of them wanted to move on anyway, and some of them were just showing signs of decline, so I've tried to make a bold decision. So first of all, Harry Taylor deserves a huge shout out because second season he had a lot of injuries, he didn't really feature much, but the first year, he was a midfielder who covered at centre half for the first half of the season, and he did it really well. Kavan Williams just didn't quite make it, I'm afraid, showed no signs of improvement, didn't really want to go out on loan. Yeah, it didn't work out. It's one of those things. Ryan Haynes, backup left back, not quite good enough for League 2 level now. A solid player, did his job in the National League for us, but just last week, in fact, we have signed a pretty big upgrade for him. Callum Powell was the other one I would have liked to have maybe kept. Good determination, versatile, good character in the squad. But in the end, at 29, he didn't want to play a very bit part for a low wage. So as a result, we had to be ruthless with our decision. The next one, and probably the last surprise, is Ollie Kensdale. Again, I would have liked to have kept him as a backup centre-half. And even now, I wouldn't mind re-signing him, to be honest. But he wanted to add about 300 or 400 quid a week to his wages. And he was going to be fifth choice centre-half. That means when we were playing a back two, he was never going to play. And when we were playing a back three, he was only going to be on the bench occasionally. I didn't want to pay him nearly £1,000 a week for that. The rest of them, though, no surprises. Jack James played a bit in the first year, spent the second out on loan. He's now gone to Malta, I believe. Tommy Smith, the left back, again, if we'd been in the National League, might have been all right, but not good enough defensively. Idris Odeteo, training attitude wasn't good enough, and sixth positioning, always going to be a concern for me. Ben Stevens moves on, was never good enough. Came in to fill the squad basically in the first season. Not quite good enough for the second. Again, a little bit like Harry Taylor, featured a lot in the first half of the first year, played centre mid, out wide, up front, in all sorts of positions to give people rest, and did his job for us. You've got to give him credit. And then two of the youngsters that started the first season, Max Fidz has gone to Cray Valley, who of course in real life made some pretty big cup headlines yesterday on the BBC. And then Alfie Bangs, who is also one of the young players, he has been released but not yet found a club. So quite a few moving on, and a few more on the transfers as well. If we go back to last season and get the transfers up, we'll start with the outs and then we'll get to the big news, because in a move that is pretty unlike me at this level, as many of you will attest to, I've actually signed a player for a six-figure sum. We'll talk about why in a minute. But let's look at the players that have gone out first. So at the end of the year, Jake Wett was the first one to go out on loan, the only one of those remaining youth players from the original game. Joe Wright has gone out on loan this time. Well, he actually went on to Torquay because they had a playoff game. Now he's gone to Newport, so he's on here twice. But he is the one we might have to recall at the minute, just so we don't ruin someone else's development. Cameron Ismail has gone out to Queen of the South. He's a signing, so we'll talk about him in a minute. The same for Lloyd of Forit Mantau. But then after that, it's basically just youngsters out on loan. So most of the players that leave at this level, they get released. You're very rarely selling someone for big money. And unfortunately, that's the way it is here as well. So loan deals for Lewis Hurley, who was the best player in the youth intake the first year. He's gone out on loan to the National League North. I'm sure he'll do all right out there. You can see Joe Rye's deal. Craig Williams, another one from our youth academy. He's actually developing well because he's got a good personality. I reckon he could make it as a National League player. So we'll see how he gets on loan at Dartford. We mentioned Joe Wright, another one of the youngsters, Tom Winter Sinclair. He's gone out on loan as well. Another one with good characteristics and a good personality. And then the final one, Trayvon Mully, is another one that we've just signed. So we'll talk about him in a minute too. But all in all, in terms of the ins so far, with probably two more to come, if we can get a centre-half and if we can get an attacking player of some form, I'll be pretty happy with the window. But so far it's 9 players in. One of them is a returning face, which you can see at the top of this list. And 3 of them are young players that John Still has found that we've then sent out on loan again. So probably players a bit like Kingdon and Norhouse that if we were still in the National League would get a good amount of football for us. But because we're in League 2, I don't want to ruin their development. And game time this year is the best thing for player development. So if they can go and play in the National League, it probably works out a lot better for them. Despite that though, one of the young players that John Still has brought in is good enough for the first team, and it's our first signing. It is Amaro Nallo from Liverpool. 2.5-star ability, 4-star potential, good personality, good jumping reach, great positioning, quick, good tackler, good on the ball. I mean, he's basically the great centre half for me. I'm not really sure why he's rated so poorly. Maybe it's because of his lack of strength and maybe a few deficits in the mental side of the game. But if you put him in as just a standard centre half playing football, all the core attributes are basically there. And if he can get a little bit stronger with some football soon, I'd fancy him to become a pretty good player and someone we probably make a profit on. Let's move on to the next two, who have both since gone out on loan. So we'll start with Lloyd Afori, the centre-half from Norwich, who again, we've sent out on loan to Ghana because that's the only place, unfortunately, we could get offers from. I would have liked him to have played in the National League. He's another one I actually feel is a bit harshly rated because he's got a good personality. Okay, he's poor on the ball, but all of his core attributes as a centre-half are 11 or above, and his only slight weakness really is composure. And I feel if he goes out and plays for the year, he'll do really well. Not sure how his development will serve in a non-playable league, but we'll keep an eye on that and recall him if we need to. The next one is Cameron Ismail. He has come in from Arsenal on a free. We mentioned he's gone to Queen of the South. He is a young left back and left wing back, which is perfect for both our home and away tactic. He's got great natural fitness. He's got great determination. Brilliant going forward. Maybe not the best at the back. So again, defensively, for us moving up to a higher league, maybe not quite reliable enough yet. But with a year of football, he can improve those attributes. He's already played 4 in the Viaplay Cup. He's doing pretty well. And hopefully he'll be able to go to the next level and probably make it here. Then we get to the big one, and definitely the outlier when it comes to lower league football management from me on this channel. I have paid $175,000 for a player, which I never normally do. But I felt this one was appropriate. Now, it actually seems a bit of a weird thing to say because there were free agent options, and still are, that are very similar to this guy. But where he's got his core attributes makes the key difference for me. And in Daniel Rose, I'm talking about a new first choice keeper. A man who is mercifully not injury prone like our last one, has represented the under-21s for the Republic of Ireland, and last time we took a gamble on a player in that position, it was Will Ferry who became a superstar. Fairly professional, 6'4", great jumping reach, brilliant from crosses, good positioning, which is one of his strengths, and good core attributes. The only things that he's slightly off on are probably his distribution, which we're going to be playing long quite a lot this year, and maybe his decision making a little as well, but he's a youngster, that's going to happen. Let's move on to the 5 this year, and we start with a familiar face at right back. I wanted to keep a fairly familiar vibe to the squad, and Luke Matheson allowed us to do that. Matheson, natural right back, natural right wing back, scored some crucial goals for us at the end of last season. Great natural fitness, great determination. He's the type of character I want in the squad. Obviously has got a big potential, not quite ever reached it in-game or in real life yet, but very solid for League 2. I'm happy with him. The next one is our replacement for the target man we didn't get in Marcus Dackers, and the way he's going, he might well be the replacement for Harry Cardwell, because Aaron Presley is a 23-year-old who we had years ago at Dorking, I think, in one of our saves. He's a very good target man who again is 6'4", great in the air, strong, has even got enough to run in behind as well. And he is rated slightly better than Cardwell. He's younger and he's training really well. I mean, there's good signs here. He went on loan to the A-League last season, scored 12 in 22 at Perth Glory, and he's only on 1.2 grand a week. I've got a feeling that could be my first big profit signing. That's my impression with Aaron Presley. The next one is one of the youngsters who we've loaned out to Dagenham and Redbridge. He is a right midfielder, Trayvon Mully. Again, 18 years of age, tiny wage, big potential. Why not? I feel he was worth taking a risk on personally, and it's the sort of move I would do, which is try and get young players in, give them an opportunity to shine, and maybe move them on if they're good enough. The next one is quite a clever signing because we got to this position before the season. We were looking for a left back, we were looking for a backup centre half, and we were also looking for a player who could be an advanced forward in our home games when we're playing a 4-4-2, and could be a backup right winger and left winger when we were playing a 5-2-3 away from home. And in Michael Dewenny, I feel we've got that. You may recognise the name. He is a man we tried to loan last year, ended up front for Chesterfield, and he's a very good footballer. Doesn't perfectly suit my tactic at the minute, but we'll get there. But again, you'll notice the trend I'm going for here. Fairly professional personality, 21 years of age, 3.5 ability, 4.5 potential, albeit in the roles we want to use him is 2.5 to 3-star ability for now. But again, a relatively low wage. He's played a few games for Newcastle too. Good to have someone that can fit into both roles in the team, and really looking forward to seeing if he can develop. And then the final one is the one that we needed most, because in pre-season we have had injuries galore on the left-hand side of our pitch. We've got Will Ferry just back today. Lewis Page is still here as a backup, but just can't stay fit after his big injury. And there's a few other problems. Dan Mooney's just about made it. We've even got injuries on the right as well. But Joe Tomlinson was the best of a selection on the left, because I tried to sign another player. I'll show you who. Ben Jackson was the option I wanted to go for. Good left back, good left wing back, good left winger. He went to Port Vale and he's going to play regularly there. They are a League Two club, but they've got Nathan Jones in charge and they're one of the favourites for promotion. So I don't blame him for going for them. He was fairly professional and all of that stuff too. But Joe Tomlinson is a pretty good option for us as well. Good determination, fairly sporting, versatile as you like, two-footed as you like. Can play left back, left wing back, right wing back. Just brilliant. One of the big boxes he ticks for us, and Jackson would have as well in fairness, is the fact that he's a really experienced EFL player. If we go and have a look at his history, he's played for Peterborough a bit in League One level and even a Championship. He's played in the National League a few seasons, but then look at his last couple of years. Good years for MK Dons in League Two. He has got a lot of experience at this level in particular, and that's something that a lot of our team doesn't have. So that's what we've done so far, with probably 2 more signings to come. If we have a quick look at the staffing, we have added 1 or 2 in that area as well. Nothing particularly stand out. So John is still here, still bringing in gems as you've seen from the youth team. And we've also got a new head physio in Jack Hughes, who just is a big upgrade on what we had before. And given some of the injury problems and injury prone players we've got, I felt was quite an important one to get right. But for now, let's go and get into our first game of the season. As you can see from the club vision, they are trying to build their new stadium still. We are still required a top half League 2 finish, but we've got a little bit in the bank from last year if we do have a slightly poorer start. The supporters are up to a B as well, which we've not managed to do too often this year. But let's see, all importantly, where the media think we're going to finish, because I haven't looked at this yet. The media think we will be 4th favourites for promotion. That is a big bit of pressure for us. I should mention as well, Ebbsfleet are expected to finish bottom there. They've probably got the best goalkeeper in the league, so I'm interested to see how that goes. If we have a look at the favourites though, I mean, Notts County are ridiculous. They've still got Langstaff up front. They've just signed Corley Woodrow from Luton, who I think you'll agree, at the very worst, is still League One level. And then they've got some brilliant players like Crowley in the side as well. There's quality everywhere. We mentioned Port Vale with Jones and some of the players they've nicked from us. And there's other good teams about. So Accrington expected to finish bottom half. They've got the best officially rated keeper in the league. Very similar to the one at Ebbsfleet, actually. We have got one player in there, though. And that is another returning face, because they're not officially new signings, because they never actually left the club. But both Harrison Parker and Harry Titchmarsh did renew their loans. Harrison Parker is one of the best young players in the City Academy. This kid should not be playing in League Two. But I'm going to enjoy it, because he's an England youth international and he's playing for Southend United. He's getting experience. He's improving with every game. I love the kid. I hope he stays here for a long time, but I doubt it. Harry Titchmarsh, very solid player in midfield. I didn't know the situation with Jack Earing, so I didn't want to take too many risks there. We know he's good. He's done well for us. He's been here over a year and a half now. John Still's initial loan signing, well, he showed great eye to get him in. And he's another one who just does the job. So very happy to have him here too. But let's go and get ahead to the first day of the season. We go away to Swindon. They were expected to finish in what position? 14th place. So a mid-table side. I'm not sure it's going to pan out that way. Let's go and get through to the team selection. They're playing a 4-2-3-1. We're away from home. 13,500 fans in, blimey. This is what we've gone for. And for those of you that haven't been here before, I tend to work this way. A lot of people bring in 5-10 signings and just chuck them in the team and let them settle in for a month during a slow start to the season. But I want to take momentum with us, and that's why I've gone with this team, because this is a side that got over 100 points last year, was brilliant throughout, and it's got lots of quality. Yes, it's got a few fitness concerns, but it's got quality. So the only player who is officially new at the club in a starting lineup today, is Daniel Rose, the goalkeeper. And he has been injured in pre-season. Otherwise, I might not have even done that. Might have waited for the cup tie midweek. The problems we've had, though, in pre-season have been on the wings. We got to the position where I actually had to bring in a trialist on each side just so we could put the team out. That's how problematic it's been. So Matheson is just about fit. Ferry is fit for 45 minutes according to his fitness test. Joe Tomlinson only joined this week, so hasn't played for us yet. Gus Scott Morris came back tired, had an extended leave, played one game, got an injury, has been back for one, but is nowhere near fit. We've then got Michael Dewenny, who can play off the wing areas, but he's only been here a week as well. Lewis Page isn't back to fitness yet, and Noor Hussein has been out too. So a little bit depleted, but the weirdest situation of the summer is Lewis Lomas. Now, I talked a bit about dynamics problems. You'll remember last season, he was on option, which meant that he wanted to leave at the end of his contract. He was looking at other options to move on. He then had a slight concern because we didn't accept an acceptable bid for him, because we'd agreed that we'd sell him for 165 grand. An offer never came for that amount, and I didn't force it through. So apparently that was my fault. Then though, despite wanting to move for a bigger club, despite having an option to move on, he then the next day said he was happy to stay at the club. We offered him a new contract, which he signed. 2-year deal for 1.4 grand a week. Then the next day, he came back concerned that he wanted to move to a bigger club before he'd even accepted the contract offer, but then still signed a new contract. So there's definitely something's gone wrong there. I've no idea which parts of the process should have happened and which ones shouldn't, but Lewis Lomas is here and he's not that thrilled about it, even though he decided to stay on. Our 11 in full though for today is Daniel Rose, the new man in goal. A back three of Kingdom, Parker and Lomas, which you're very used to seeing. Ferry and Matheson at wing-backs, also the case. Titchmarsh and Morehouse the midfield too, because Earion's been one of the worst trainers. He did have a knock earlier in pre-season. And all in all, I feel Morehouse is nearly there. He seems to play well whenever he's in a team. He's 19, he's got big potential. Let's give him a run. Hilton and Mooney are the wide men with Harry Cardwell up front. But in Presley and Dewenny, we've got a bit of attacking talent on the bench now. In Tomlinson and Nallo, we've got good defensive reinforcements. And then Erin and Scott Morris are the very much experienced men of the club. And Dengandy is a sub goalkeeper. We're up to 7 subs in EFL. So we've got no more dramas if our keeper gets injured. Let's go and submit the team for Swindon away, our EFL debut with Southend United. Well, here we go then. Swindon away, and they have got bags of pace up front with Rashawn Hepburn Murphy, an old favourite of ours, a very good young player in FM a few years ago, and has had his moments in real life too. Let's go and get through the team selection, through the tunnel interview, and into the first half, away at the county ground, a pitch I've actually played on, a professional one. Let's see how we start, as Hilton's got a corner, up to the back post. We're probably not going to be quite so dominant from them this year. Cardwell's not got the massive advantage. We have got a few big men in the team, but one of them's the goalkeeper and he won't be going up for them. So not the best option for us from set pieces, but we've started pretty well. And we're on the front foot again with Kingdom releasing Matheson. What a run from the wing back. And a good save from Smith. I tell you what, we've come out like a house on fire here. Swindon don't know how to deal with a tactic. We thought we could overload them out wide. They've gone for a very central formation with a 4-2-3-1. The fullbacks have got no real support. And if our back three can deal with their wide men, it should leave us 4-on-2 in wide areas. As with 15 gone, we're playing out from the back with Rose. It's a very poor kick. And that was the weakness we highlighted, wasn't it? Not sure why he's gone left either there. As Baldwin goes wide to Hutton. He plays it inside. He's got a good runner over the top from Stewart. He's been forced wide a little bit here. Good cross up to the back post. Can't in. Rose makes amends. Tips it onto the woodwork. That's a great save. And Lomas puts it behind. You're definitely going to see these games overall be a lot more even this year. But so far, so good. We've been competitive. Love the EFL graphics, by the way. I know I got very excited by them last year. I haven't got over it yet. As Hutton gets in down the right, I might be upset by them in a minute. Kingdom does well, heads away. This is going to be a good season because we're competing with a decent side on the road. We've just got to stay in it for now. As Hepburn Murphy, free kick over. Action-packed 17 minutes. Still 0-0. I'll take that. Well, Swindon have definitely turned the screw in this game. They've got a long throw with just over half an hour gone. And at the moment, they are the better side for sure. As Hippolyte's going to get in. Beats Kingdom. It's a great run. That's a brilliant goal. I mean, we should have stopped him once or twice, yes, but it's brilliant individual play. And Kingdon, one of many young players in this team, and I do know that it's going to be a little bit of a sacrifice this year. We've got a few younger players in. We've got a few players that have never played in EFL. We are going to get mistakes, but we're going to get development too. As Ferry gets in down the left, chance to cut back. Cardwell's down to penalty. Harry Cardwell, he scored bundles of goals in the National League. He was top scorer up both years for us. But now he's got the chance to get his EFL account up and running. He shoots and sends the keeper the wrong way. Won the penalty, scored the goal. Great play to win the penalty as well. Morehouse through ball to Ferry at left wing back and a good ball across the box. He's under pressure this year, Cardwell, with Aaron Presley, but that will do him the world of good as Kingdon plays out from the back with Parker. Not sure how confident Kingdon looks on the ball here, and Titchmarsh has given it away. But at the moment, Kingdon's having a bit of a stinker. Hippolyte's got him again. Is that offside? Is that offside? No, it's not. We're behind 2-1 to Swindon. And again, Kingdon is the man who is at fault. They've said it's Titchmarsh, but it was a poor pass into him. And I'm not sure that this is his finest day so far. 2-1 to Swindon at half-time, and one of our superstars of last season is the man who's probably let us down. And even if it's Titchmarsh, you say it's probably both of them. Ebbsfleet are winning at home on their debut as well. And with an hour gone, we're going to have to think about changes here. But it's whether I change shape. I feel it's working pretty well, so I'm not going to. Ferry has got a knock. He was struggling anyway. I'm going to have to replace both wing-backs. So Scott Morris on and Joe Tomlinson will make his debut for the club. We're also going to bring on Jack Earin with Morehouse alongside him, and we'll switch them to be a deep line playmaker on defend and a box-to-box. I'm going to take Sonny Hilton off on the right-hand side and replace him with Michael Dewenny. And I'll save the last one a few more minutes, but it will probably be Presley for Cardwell, who's not had a great game, taking aside the penalty. So we'll give it to the final 15. On comes Aaron Presley, and hopefully he's got a bit of magic in him, because it's an even game that we've lost due. Let's be honest, it's due to 2 individual errors. We've not been outplayed. We've not been carved open. We made a mistake with a missed tackle for the first and a misplaced pass for the second. Otherwise, there's been nothing in it. As Michael Dewenny gets in. Oh, he's missed. That was my big question compared to Leighton Stewart. Are you going to be clinical enough? Great running, great work, but doesn't finish it. And now we've got a corner. We're building the pressure. Swindon going back a bit, and we're trying to take advantage as Morehouse puts it in just beyond Presley. But it's out to Mooney on the left. He puts it in. Keeper fumbles. And it's just scrambled away. Oh, how have we not got a goal out of that? It's been a brilliant effort here. And you know what? This performance doesn't worry me at all because we've been the better side. We've gone attacking for the final 4 or 5 minutes. And I think we are going to lose it. But despite losing this game, I've got to be honest with you, I'm probably more optimistic than I was at the start because we were at least a match for them, if not slightly better. At home when we're aggressive, I think we're going to take advantage of teams. And if we can pick up performances like that away from home, we'll naturally get some points with it as well. So, disappointing to start against an established team with a defeat, but so many good signs. And if you give these lads a month to get fit and settle down, get rid of those individual errors, which you can see, we're at fault for both goals. We're going to be absolutely fine. I've no doubt about that. Probably the happiest you're going to see me after a defeat this year. We're going to take advantage of it while we can. We are going to be back, I think, for transfer deadline day, which is now the end of August that we're in the EFL. And Walsall at home, as we've got a run of 4 home games in 5 now. If you're looking forward to that and this new season in the EFL, as Walsall did beat Ebbsfleet in the end, then please do put a thumbs up on the video, subscribe and turn that notification bell to stay up to date with daily FM24 content. We're going to be rotating the 2 long-term stories every day for the year now. So we'll be back tomorrow with the head coach. There was an interesting development yesterday, if you haven't seen that, up in the eye above. And then this one will be back on Wednesday at 3:30 at the same time. But thank you very much for joining me for a new season at Southend. It was a big transfer window and it's a big season ahead. But I've got a feeling, despite defeat today, that we're very much up for the challenge.